Hello. Uh, just reading another story here. A few of my friends told me I should be doing this on video, and I attempted to set up a proper setup with a green screen and everything else, and nothing worked. And I don't know if it's Mercury in retrograde or if it's me or if I'm cursed or whatever. Who cares, right? So I'm just doing it with my webcam, and that's why this is so low quality. But you know what? It makes me look hotter, so I don't actually have a problem with this now that I'm looking at myself. This shirt, which is the coolest shirt ever, is from Paperback Paradise. They probably don't want to shout out, but anyway. I wrote this story many years ago. It used to be on one of my old Tumblrs, and I always kind of found it amusing, so I reworked it a little bit. And now I'm going to be reposting it, I suppose. It's called The River Stynx by Larissa Thomas, which is me. I'm Larissa Thomas. Copyright. Not that anyone would steal this, but if you do, I want you to know that I would sue you. Or slander you on the internet. All right. Dave was a ferryman. Dave was the ferryman, ye old hooded one, the humble gatekeeper of Hades, yada yada. Corey, the original ferryman, had fallen overboard and didn't know how to swim. Or so the story went. Dave's boat was decades overdue for an upgrade. He still didn't have a motor and had to make do with slimy, splintery paddles. The powers that be had never even given him so much as a cushion for his lower back. And don't get Dave started on smoke breaks and workplace temperature. The River Stynx, a sexy, sunsetty Christaberg music video? It was not. Dave wondered who his next passenger would be. A drug lord with the blood of hundreds on his hands. A CEO of a fast food company. A Christian rap rocker with a taste for youngins. Or his favorite, the average Joe, run-of-the-mill asshole who didn't quite grasp why he was there. It was a complete toss-up if those ones ended up at the River Stynx or the pearly gates. Nepotism, luck of the draw, politics. You know how it goes. Obviously. Dave's patrons rarely messed with him. He was the mysterious figure in the velvety, moth-eaten robe with sunken black holes for eyes, and they were the new kid in school, uncomfortable, worried they'd fart, get a boner, or be torn to shreds by one of Satan's minions. The ones that knew why they were there, they weren't so much for the talking. Occasionally someone would try and barter with Dave or make a run for it, but mostly they just wanted a heads up on whatever atrocities lay ahead. Dave actually didn't know, so he just made shit up. He found striking terror in their hearts made the ride unbearable, so he'd keep it sparse and only mention the funner things he'd heard over the years, like the skeleton key parties, Coca-Cola jacuzzis, and the sex pterodactyls. But today, or tonight, he was never quite sure, Dave was in a chatty mood. Oh my god, this is so fucking heavy. He was itching to shake it up. Every single day, all day, he did his job. Point A to point B. It was simple. The route was well worn, rarely any hiccups. Occasionally, a teeth-gnashing river hell serpent would torpedo the boat, but within the first century, Dave was pretty sure he'd harpooned all of those fuckers into the next dimension. If there was a next dimension. Dave didn't like to think about that. But Dave was bored. He was so over his job. He wanted to rip off his robe, let his skin scraps hang out, jitterbug, skydive, go to a concert, see a movie. But what Dave really wanted more than anything was a companion, someone to talk to, someone to hold his clammy phalanges and tell him that he was all they'd ever dreamed of. Maybe even give him a little riverhead every now and then. Know what I'm saying? He'd heard of orgies deep into the mainland, but Dave was never invited. Not even as someone's plus one. Not that that was his scene, but it would still be nice to be included once in a while. Dave had spent years archiving his feelings in the dusty bins of whatever remained of his gray matter, but sometimes he couldn't control his thoughts. And quite frankly, he was sick of it. He wanted more out of his afterlife. He nervously sipped on a goblet filled with regurgitated Southern comfort as he waited for his next appointment. Who would it be? OMG, this is so heavy. Oh, God. Then, through the broom, he saw her. The thick air seemed to part for the woman approaching his boat, as if trying to move out of her way so as not to get her dirty. Her thick curls backlit by the ethereal glow of phosphorus feces and radioactive livers and spleens. As she drew closer to the briny shoreline, the calcified stone that was Dave's heart twitched with the remnants of life. Or maybe it was indigestion from SoCo on a bottomless stomach. Whatever it was far from boring. The woman reached out to him with a coin in her hand. He couldn't speak. He was mesmerized. As he took the coin, he felt her warm skin, still so pink and full of blood. She bent over and climbed into the boat, giving Dave a real socketful. She had an ass Dave could drop a load of maggots into for days. What could a gorgeous being like her have done to deserve such a fate? Maybe it was all just a misunderstanding. She accidentally ran over her neighbor's unruly cat, or left her straightener on and set fire to a family living in the apartment above hers. Pure accident. Or, with legs like that, he guessed, she was probably a lady of the night, a provider of passion. Perhaps she had murdered Violent John and was a hero to women everywhere. Either way, she was so hot, Dave really didn't care what she did. He weighed his options. Nothing said misery like a case of eternity venereal disease, and he'd had a pretty lengthy and traumatic mortal death from syphilis. But everlasting boredom came a close second. Maybe together they could transcend damnation and enter a heightened state of felicity. He helped her take her seat as she teetered on her platform shoes. She didn't shudder when she caught a whiff of his stinking tendrils of cadaver flopping off his bones. She just smiled. VD be damned. Once she was seated, Dave asked, "Where would you like to go?" "I get to choose," she giggled, her voice both girlish and hoarse. Sorry, I cannot do it myself. "A young Virgin Mary and a knowledgeable whore. Every man's dream." Dave smiled. "Not usually, but I'm feeling adventurous today. We could go anywhere, do anything." "Isn't that against the rules? You're naughty." She batted her lashes and looked around. She pointed toward a soft orange glow on the distant horizon that Dave hadn't really noticed before. "You ever been in that direction?" He shook his head and pushed off from shore. "I'm Dave, by the way." "Dave the ferryman. Has a nice ring to it. I'm Odessa. Nice to meet you." She crossed her feet under the plank of wood she was sitting on, like a lady. If Dave had a pulse, it would be racing. He didn't know what to ask her. "What's your favorite color? Seen anything good recently?" So he went for the obvious. "How did you find yourself at the River Stynx, if you feel comfortable talking about it?" "A cliché. My boyfriend was cheating, and I got jealous." She gripped the edge of the seat tightly, her knuckles turning white. "And then I accidentally killed myself overdosing on sleeping pills. I assume. I was trying to make it look like someone came in and killed him, and I slept through it because I took too many sleeping pills. That was going to be my alibi." "More common than you think. I can't imagine what a fool he must have been to cheat on someone like you. Hopefully when we make it to the other side, I can show you a nice time over some mead and make up for my gender's misdeeds." Clever one, Dave. "I still hate him. He was such a piece of shit. You know, this one time he was staring at my sister's breasts right at the family dinner table. Even my grandmother noticed. It was humiliating. And he was always hitting on my customers and my coworkers. I don't even know if he officially left his previous girlfriend when we started dating, but I love him. You know how it is. I love him so much that I hate him. Or is it that I hate him so much that I love him?" "I wouldn't know," Dave said. "So what do you do for work?" "I was a hairdresser. That's how I met my ex. Or is he still my boyfriend? We didn't officially break up before I stabbed him to death with a cuticle pusher. He has such beautiful hair. God, what a waste." Dave cleared the remnants of his throat, hoping to restart the conversation. You see land or anything? No land at all. She dragged her finger in the water. You might not want to put your hand in there, Dave cautioned before trying to get the conversation back on track. Anywhere in Hades you've been curious about? Not sure what they've been saying up there lately. I don't know much about this stuff. I'm not, religious. My ex-boyfriend's family was pretty religious. It's always the religious ones that raise the real fuckers, you know? They fuck them up with all the bad boys go to hell stuff, and then it's like they're incapable of committing to the best thing that's ever happened to them. And it's not even their fault. Well, there's some cool stuff to do here. Lots of bogs to go hiking in. Volcanoes to watch kill villages. Orgies? He trailed off looking for a reaction. What kinds of people get sent here? Is it only murderers, or are there other kinds of sinners too? Like, say, cheaters? Odessa said, barely looking at him. Depends, Dave said, his face expressionless. It's easy to hide emotion when most of your muscle tissue is wasted away. Have you ever taken a man named Hyde Burnish across? She asked, staring intently at Dave now. Dave shrugged. This wasn't going as planned. Dark hair, tattoos on his arm. When he talks, Dave's bones were weary, rickety even, but rigor mortis couldn't slow him down as he pushed Odessa overboard. Swim that way, he feebly gestured towards the nearest shoreline as she glared up at him with a soaking wet face. Dave, please, she called out. He glanced at his wrist compass. He'd be on schedule still for the next appointment if he backtracked. Odessa screamed and thrashed, Dave, you can't leave me! As he began paddling away, her blood-curdling scream was cut short as she was pulled into the murky deep by 12-inch fangs. Dave snorted. Guess he didn't kill all of the river hell serpents after all.